What if I told you that some of the pills you take every single day, the ones sitting right there in your medicine cabinet, might actually be making your arthritis and your kidneys worse? Yes, you heard that right. The very drugs meant to bring relief could be silently fueling your pain and slowly damaging your kidney health. Living with arthritis is already a battle. The stiffness, the swelling, those mornings when your hands just won't move. You reach for your pain meds, trusting they'll help. But what if some of them are doing the opposite, making your joints more inflamed and putting even more pressure on your kidneys? It's scary, I know. But you're not alone. Millions of people around the world are unknowingly caught in this exact trap. That's why in today's video, we're uncovering the top 6 drug combinations that can secretly worsen arthritis pain and damage your kidneys over time. And trust me, number 4 is the one no one sees coming, yet it could explain why your pain never seems to go away no matter what you try. So grab a cup of tea, take a deep breath, and stick with me, because understanding this might just change how you protect your joints and kidneys for the rest of your life. Go on NSAIDs and blood pressure medications. Have you ever wondered if the medications you're taking to relieve your arthritis pain could actually be making things worse? That's exactly what happens with one of the most common and dangerous drug combinations out there: NSAIDs and blood pressure medications. Now, I know what you're thinking. These are both incredibly common. NSAIDs like ibuprofen or naproxen are everywhere. You grab them off the shelf when your joints are killing you, and ACE inhibitors or diuretics. Those are standard if you've got high blood pressure. But here's where things get tricky. When you mix the two, you're setting yourself up for a storm that your joints and your kidneys won't thank you for. Let me break this down in a simple way. NSAIDs work by reducing inflammation and pain in the joints, right? But they also mess with how your kidneys handle blood flow. Now, ACE inhibitors and diuretics are supposed to help your heart by controlling your blood pressure and getting rid of extra fluid. But throw NSAIDs into the mix, and suddenly your kidneys are caught in the middle. The NSAIDs make it harder for your kidneys to do their job, which makes your blood pressure medications less effective. This leads to, you guessed it, more fluid retention, and that causes your joints to swell up even more. Instead of relief, you get more pain, more stiffness, and more frustration. Take Len Chambers, for example. He's 68, used to be a teacher, and loved walking every morning. But after taking ibuprofen alongside his blood pressure meds, he started noticing his ankles swelling like crazy. His knees got stiff, and soon he couldn't even make it to the park. After a checkup, his doctor spotted the issue. His painkillers were clashing with his blood pressure meds, and his kidneys were struggling. Len switched gears. He started using turmeric capsules, added more stretching into his daily routine, and cut back on ibuprofen. A few weeks later, the swelling went down, and his energy came back. So, what can you do if this sounds a little too familiar? First, don't panic. You don't have to throw out all your meds. But you do need to talk to your doctor or pharmacist, someone who understands how these drugs interact in your body. They can help you find a safer way to manage your arthritis pain. That might mean adjusting the dosage, switching to something easier on your kidneys, or even exploring non-drug solutions like anti-inflammatory foods or gentle movement routine. The key is making sure your medications are working with each other, not against you. 2 corticosteroids and antacids. Have you ever wondered why, even when you're taking all the right meds, your arthritis still seems to get worse? Or your bones just don't feel as strong as they used to? One of the sneakiest reasons could be the combo of corticosteroids and antacids. Sounds harmless, right? But the way these 2 drugs work together can quietly cause serious damage, especially if you've been on them for a while. Corticosteroids like prednisone are often prescribed for arthritis because they're powerful at calming down inflammation. And they work. They really do give people a break from the relentless pain and swelling that comes with arthritis. But here's the problem when you take them for too long. They start to interfere with how your body absorbs calcium and vitamin D, 2 things your bones absolutely need to stay strong. Now add antacids into the mix like omeprazole or other common acid reducers, and you've got a recipe for even bigger issues. These antacids mess with stomach acid levels, which are key for breaking down and absorbing nutrients, especially calcium. The result? Bones that gradually weaken, joints that feel even more fragile, and an increased risk of fractures. This is exactly what happened to Florence Daniels, a 72-year-old retired nurse who had been managing her rheumatoid arthritis for years with prednisone. Over time, she developed acid reflux and was put on a daily antacid to help control the heartburn. At first, it seemed like a good fix, but slowly she started to feel more tired, her joints felt unstable, and she even suffered a minor fall that left her with a wrist fracture. Her doctor ran a bone density scan and found early signs of osteoporosis. The real issue wasn't just the arthritis, it was the combination of medications that was quietly thinning her bones. With her doctor's help, Florence switched to a different reflux treatment that was easier on her nutrient absorption, added a calcium and vitamin D supplement, and began light resistance training a few times a week. Within a few months, her energy improved, her posture got better, and she felt stronger overall. So what can you do if you're on this combination and worried about your bones? First of all, don't ignore how you're feeling. If your joints feel weaker or you're more tired than usual, bring it up at your next doctor's appointment. Ask whether it's time to check your bone density. There might be better medication options out there for your reflux or ways to reduce your steroid use gradually. And it's not just about pills, your diet and movement matter too. Eating more calcium-rich foods like leafy greens or low-fat dairy, getting a bit of sun for vitamin D, and adding simple exercises like walking or strength training can make a huge difference. And please, don't start supplements on your own. Always get advice from your doctor or pharmacist first. The key is to make sure your treatment plan supports your bones, your joints, and your long-term health, not just today's pain. 3. Statins and muscle pain. Have you ever wondered if the muscle aches you're feeling are really from arthritis, or if something else might be making them worse? One of the most overlooked culprits in this situation is statins, the cholesterol-lowering drugs that millions of people take every day. Medications like atorvastatin or simvastatin are effective at protecting your heart, but for some people, they come with a frustrating and painful side effect: muscle pain and stiffness that can feel just like arthritis. And when these statins are combined with other medications, especially certain antifungal drugs, the risk gets even higher. Here's the thing: statins on their own can sometimes cause muscle soreness, weakness, or even cramping. For people already dealing with arthritis, it becomes really difficult to tell what's going on. Is this just a flare-up of joint pain, or is the medication playing tricks on your body? The confusion only grows when statins are taken alongside medications like ketoconazole or itraconazole, which are commonly used to treat fungal infections. These drugs slow down the way your liver breaks down statins, leading to higher levels of the statin in your blood. That means more exposure to potential side effects, especially muscle ones. Warren Ellis, a 68-year-old retired mechanic, knows this firsthand. He'd been on atorvastatin for years to manage his cholesterol, and at first everything seemed fine. But when he developed a toenail fungus, his doctor prescribed an antifungal, and within a few weeks, Warren began noticing an odd, deep ache in his legs and shoulders. He thought it was just his arthritis acting up again. But this pain felt a little different, more like muscle soreness than joint pain. After a few weeks of growing discomfort, Warren finally mentioned it to his doctor, who recognized the potential interaction. They temporarily paused the statin and switched his antifungal medication. His muscle pain improved within days. Later, Warren's doctor reintroduced a lower statin dose and added a CoQ10 supplement to help protect his muscles, and the discomfort never returned. So what can you take away from Warren's story? If you're taking a statin and suddenly start to feel new or worsening muscle pain, especially if you've just added another medication like an antifungal, don't brush it off. Bring it up right away with your doctor or pharmacist. Sometimes a simple blood test can show whether your statin level is too high or if your muscles are under stress. From there, your provider can adjust your dose, switch you to a different statin, or explore supportive supplements like CoQ10, which some studies suggest may help reduce muscle side effects. The key is to stay aware and stay vocal about any changes you feel. You shouldn't have to choose between protecting your heart and managing your pain. With the right adjustments and open communication, you can have both. 4. Diuretics and gout flares. Here's another drug combination that can quietly sneak up on you and make your arthritis feel worse than ever. Diuretics and gout. Diuretics, often called water pills, are commonly prescribed to help lower blood pressure and reduce fluid buildup in the body. But what many people don't realize is that these medications can increase the amount of uric acid in your blood. And when that happens, it can set off a painful chain reaction: gout. Gout is a form of arthritis, but instead of steady joint stiffness, it comes on like a storm: sudden, sharp, and unbearable pain, often starting in the big toe or other joints. If you already have arthritis, adding gout flares on top of that can feel like a cruel double punch. This is exactly what happened to Darlene Kruger, a 72-year-old retired schoolteacher who had been managing her osteoarthritis for years with physical therapy and mild pain relievers. When her doctor prescribed a diuretic to help control her blood pressure, she thought nothing of it. But just a few weeks later, she woke up in the middle of the night with an intense, burning pain in her right foot. It was swollen, red, and so tender that even the bedsheet touching it was too much to bear. At first, she assumed it was just arthritis acting up. But after a quick trip to the doctor and a blood test, the diagnosis was clear: gout, triggered by elevated uric acid levels caused by the diuretic. It was a shock, but also a turning point. With guidance from her healthcare provider, Darlene switched to a different blood pressure medication that didn't affect uric acid levels as strongly. She also made a few simple dietary changes, cutting back on red meat and sugar-laden drinks and drinking more water, which helped bring her uric acid under control. Within a few weeks, her flare-ups stopped and her joint health noticeably improved. The key takeaway from Darlene's experience is this: if you're on a diuretic and start experiencing sudden, sharp joint pain, especially if it's different from your usual arthritis symptoms, don't ignore it. Talk to your doctor about checking your uric acid levels. Gout is manageable, but it often gets overlooked in the early stages. And because it mimics arthritis, it's easy to confuse the two. By catching the connection early, your provider can help you adjust your treatment plan, whether that means switching medications, tweaking your diet, or adding supplements like vitamin C, which may help lower uric acid naturally. You deserve to live without the added burden of unnecessary joint pain, and small changes can make a big difference. 5. Antidepressants and sleep aids. Now, here's a combination that's a bit more subtle but just as serious when it comes to managing arthritis pain: antidepressants and sleep aids. At first glance, this pairing might not seem harmful. In fact, both types of medications are often used to help people feel better and get much-needed rest, something that's already tough to come by when you're dealing with chronic pain. But when taken together, antidepressants like SSRIs, such as sertraline or fluoxetine, and sleep aids like zolpidem can actually interfere with your ability to recognize and respond to arthritis flare-ups. Why? Because these medications can cause sedation, dull your pain response, and even affect how your body processes other arthritis medications. The result? You may feel like your arthritis is under control, when it's actually getting worse in the background, and by the time the pain breaks through, it's already become harder to treat. This is what happened to Stanley Holbrook, a 67-year-old Vietnam veteran who had been dealing with rheumatoid arthritis for over a decade. Stanley had also struggled with anxiety and insomnia, so his doctor prescribed a sedating antidepressant to help him relax and sleep better. At first, it seemed to work. He felt calmer and was finally sleeping through the night. But after a few months, something strange started happening. He noticed increased stiffness in his joints when he woke up, but the pain didn't seem to register the way it used to. Instead of flaring up sharply, it crept in slowly, almost unnoticed. His usual anti-inflammatory medications didn't seem to work as well either. It wasn't until he visited a rheumatologist that they realized the sedation from his antidepressant and sleep aid combination was masking his symptoms and interfering with how his arthritis medications were metabolized. Together, Stanley and his care team developed a new plan. He gradually transitioned to a non-sedating antidepressant and used natural sleep supports like melatonin and relaxation techniques instead of traditional sleep meds. Within weeks, not only was he more alert and in tune with his body, but his arthritis treatment started working more effectively again. This example reminds us just how important it is to stay aware of what our bodies are telling us, especially when we're managing something as complex as arthritis. If you're taking an antidepressant or a sleep aid and you start noticing subtle changes in your joint health, or if your usual arthritis medications don't seem as effective, don't brush it off. Talk to your doctor about the possibility that sedation might be interfering with your ability to recognize flare-ups. There are often safer, non-sedating options available that can support your mental health and sleep without dulling your awareness of your arthritis symptoms. You deserve to have both peace of mind and a clear understanding of what's going on in your body, so you can get the right treatment at the right time. 6. Herbal supplements and prescription medications. Many of us turn to natural remedies like turmeric, garlic, or ginseng, hoping for an extra boost in reducing inflammation or improving overall health. It feels comforting to use something natural, especially when you're dealing with the chronic pain and stiffness of arthritis. But here's the truth that most people don't realize. Even natural supplements can have powerful effects inside your body, and sometimes those effects can clash with your prescribed arthritis medications in ways that make your condition worse, not better. Let's take turmeric and garlic as examples. These two supplements are well known for their anti-inflammatory properties, and yes, some research supports their benefits in mild cases, but both can also interfere with how your liver processes medications. Your liver is like the body's control center when it comes to filtering drugs and toxins. If it gets overwhelmed, or if something alters the way it works, it can either clear medications too quickly or not fast enough. That means the drugs you rely on for arthritis pain relief might not work as intended. Worse, it could lead to unexpected side effects like liver strain or buildup of medication in your bloodstream. That's exactly what happened to Clarence Weston, a 70-year-old retired firefighter who was managing his arthritis with a combination of NSAIDs and prescription DMARDs. Clarence had heard great things about turmeric and garlic for joint pain, so he started taking them daily alongside his usual meds, thinking he was doing something extra for his health. At first, everything seemed fine, but after a few weeks, Clarence noticed he was feeling constantly tired, and routine blood tests showed elevated liver enzymes, a red flag. His doctor traced the issue back to the herbal supplements, which were interfering with how his liver metabolized his arthritis medications. Once he stopped taking them and gave his body time to recover, his energy levels returned, and his liver function stabilized. Most importantly, his arthritis medications began working better again. This real-life example shows how easy it is to unintentionally create problems when trying to do something healthy. That's why it's so important to talk to your doctor or pharmacist before adding any new supplement, even if it seems harmless or all natural. What works well for one person may not be safe for another. Especially when chronic conditions like arthritis are involved, your healthcare provider can help you figure out if a supplement is compatible with your current treatment plan and, if it is, guide you on the right dose and form to take. Don't leave your health up to guesswork. You deserve to feel confident that everything you're putting into your body is working together, not against each other, to support your healing. Managing arthritis is complex, but hidden drug interactions can silently worsen symptoms, from increased inflammation to bone weakening. Awareness of these 6 common drug combinations, NSAIDs with blood pressure meds, corticosteroids with antacids, statins, diuretics, antidepressants with sleep aids, and herbal supplements empower seniors to take control. By discussing all medications with healthcare providers, monitoring symptoms, and making informed adjustments, seniors can protect their joints, enhance mobility, and maintain independence. Knowledge is not just power, it's the key to lasting relief and a better quality of life.